Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Damuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Daimi Supada Paramahamsa, Parivrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Simad, His Divine Grace, Sri Bhai Charan Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skan BBT, Founder Acharya Divine Grace, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jani Thai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurandaritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paritana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Taribhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Utamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishraya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasayanam Mahad. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripat bande Sri Gurum Dinataram yatkripat bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We continue from canto number 2, chapter 2 as well, which is entitled The Lord in the Heart. And today we're doing text 5, I think, right? Yes. Whoops. 5. Yes. Chirani Kim Pati Na Santi Dishanti Bhiksham Naivangripaha Para Britaha Sarito Api Ashusyan Rudha Guhaha Kim Ajito Avati No Pasannam Kasmad Bhajanti Kavayo Dhana Durmadandhan Chirani Kimpati Dasanti Drishanti Bhiksham. Actually, this is different. This is the Brahma Samhita tune. Chirani Kimpati Dashanti Dishanti Bhiksham. Naivang Gripa Pada Brita Salito Pyashusyan. Rudha Guhakim Majito Vati No Pasannan. Kasman Bhajanti Kavayo Dhana Dhurmadandhan. Chirani Kimpati Nasanti Dishanti Bhiksham. Naivang Gripa Naivang gripapara vrita sarito pyashusyam. Rudha guhakim ajito vatino pasannan. Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadur madhandhan. Chirani kimpatina santi di shanti bhiksham. Naevang gripa parabrita sariro pyasushyam. Niruddha guhakim majito vati no pasannan. Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhana durmadhandhan.
Chirani kimpatina santi dishanti bhiksham.
Chirani kimpatina santi dishanti bhiksham.
Naivang gripa parabrita sarito pyashushyan.
Naivang gripa parabrita sarito pyashushyan.
Ruddha guha kimajito vati nopasannana.
Ruddha guha kimajito vatino pasannan.
Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhana durmadhandhan.
Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhana durmadhandhan. Shirani kimpati nasanti dishanti bhiksham. Naivang gripa parabrita sarito pyasushyan. Ruddha guha kimajito vatino pasannan. Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhanadur madandhan. Chirani, torn clothes. Kim, weather. Pati, on the road. Na, not. Santi, there is. Dishanti, give in charity. Bhiksham, alms. Na, not. Eva, also. Ashushyan. One second here. Not, yeah. Eva, also. Angripaha, the trees. Parabhritaha, one who maintains others. Saritaha, the rivers. Api, also. Ashushyan, have dried up. Ruddaha, clothes. Guhaha, caves. Kim, weather. Ajitaha, the Almighty Lord. Avati, give protection. Na, not. Upasanan, the surrendered soul. So, kasmat, what for? Then. Bhajanti, flatters. Kavayaha, the learned. Dhana, wealth. Durmada andhan, too intoxicated by. too intoxicated by, yes. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. As there are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers, being dried up, no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Kindly repeat after me. Are there no torn clothes
Are there no torn clothes
lying on the common road?
lying on the common road?
Do the trees
Do the trees
which exist for maintaining others
which exist for maintaining others
no longer give alms
no longer gives alms
in charity?
in charity?
Do the rivers,
Do the rivers
being dried up,
being dried up
no longer supply water
no longer supply water
to the thirsty?
to the thirsty?
Are the caves of the mountains
Are the caves of the mountains
now closed?
now closed?
Or above all,
Or above all,
does the Almighty Lord
does the Almighty Lord
not protect
not protect
the fully surrendered souls?
the fully surrendered soul?
Why then
Why then
do the learned sages
do the learned sages
go to flatter those
go to flatter those
who are intoxicated
who are intoxicated
by hard-earned wealth?
by hard-earned wealth?
Purport. Fairly long purport. Yeah, practically 2-page purport. The continuing description of Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So purport by Srila Prabhupada: the renounced order of life is never meant for begging or living at the cost of others as a parasite. According to the dictionary, a parasite is a psychophant who lives at the cost of society without making any contribution to that society. So there is begging. Actually, sannyasis, just like Babajis also, even to Vrindavan, Babajis, they go begging every day in the morning, and Brajavasis actually know that someone will come knocking on their door, so they prepare roti, isn't it? So, and sannyasis will travel to different places, and may also be begging alms. But there's a difference between begging simply for one's own maintenance and the proper understanding for someone, let's say, begging from householders is actually to to engage those people, to engage those householders in rendering some seva. So, in other words, this is the mentality that one should be developing. The renounced order, Prabhupada is speaking about the sannyas order or renounced order. The renounced order is meant for contributing something substantial to society and not depending on the earnings of the householders. On the contrary, acceptance of alms from the householders by the bona fide mendicant, this point Prabhupada is explaining here, is an opportunity afforded by the saint for the tangible benefit of the donor. Externally, one looking at this begging of a mendicant from a householder seems like the benefit is coming to the person begging.
Yeah.
But here's mentioning how the real purpose, the actual benefit is coming to the person doing some seva. Yeah. It is an opportunity afforded by the saint for the tangible benefit of the donor. In the Sanatan Dharma institution, alms giving to the mendicant is part of a householder's duty. Yes. And it is advised in the scriptures that the householders should treat the mendicants as their family children and should provide them with food, clothing, etc. without being asked. It's a nice mentality. That means that we see that especially for brahmacharis. Brahmacharis they don't have a job. They don't earn. So this is very unique in terms of the Vedic culture. In some other place, Prabhupada explains how actually in the Vedic culture the householders have a very major responsibility in that they are the ones who are meant to maintain the brahmacharis, meant to maintain the sannyasis, and meant to maintain those in the vanaprastha order as well, because they don't earn money. Yes. So this mentality of Prabhupada developed or demonstrated that mood and mentality in America. By one time, Prabhupada wanted to had some visa issues. Anyone who goes to some foreign country, some visa problems are generally there. So to overcome that visa problem, Prabhupada, some discussion was there where it was suggested that Prabhupada, we will adopt you. We will adopt you. So in this way, we will look after you like that. That never happened as such, but
Even Prabhupada adopt.
Huh?
Even Prabhupada adopt everyone.
Yeah, correct. Prabhupada is the one actually adopting everyone. So this point also, without being asked, this is, generally, of course, that is very rare, but there are mendicants. Those are like the very serious, we could say, and dedicated mendicants, just like Madhavendra Puri. A very nice story related in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Srila Madhavendra Puri, he had taken a vow. He was a sannyasi. He had taken a vow never to ask anyone for anything. That's a very hard vow, you know. So that means that sometimes you go for days without eating, maybe. Yeah, right? So Krishna was, of course, very pleased with his mood of surrender and his vow, and the whole nice lila where the Lord actually appeared to him and requested him to actually excavate him with one Gopal deity in Vrindavan. A whole nice lila in that respect. So it means, this is a point being made here, one who is actually a householder in the true sense means grihastha as opposed to grihamedi, we were discussing yesterday or a few days ago. Grihamedi thinks mainly of himself, whereas a grihastha, because he's practicing spiritual life, he knows that actually it's my responsibility to maintain brahmacharis like that, yeah. And then Prabhupada continues here, pseudo mendicants therefore should not take advantage of the charitable disposition of the faithful householders. Yeah. So inasmuch as householders should take up the responsibility of supporting, but also mendicants should take the responsibility of not taking advantage of simply collecting more than they need, etc., like that. Yeah. The first duty of a person in the renounced order of life is to contribute some literary work for the benefit of the human being in order to give him realized direction towards self-realization. So this is a very nice point, that those who are in the renounced order, those who are mendicants, they are meant to give spiritual guidance or instruction, just like here Shukadeva Goswami. He's a mendicant, renounced, and he is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So this is, especially in the matter of transcendental literatures, and Prabhupada will explain here a little bit more. Amongst the other duties in a renounced order of life, of Srila Sanatan, Srila Rupa, and the other Goswamis of Vrindavan, the foremost duty discharged by them was to hold discourses amongst themselves at Seva Kunja, Vrindavan, the spot where Sri Radha Damodar temple was established by Srila Jiva Goswami, and where the actual Samadhi tombs of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami are laid. So the Goswamis of Vrindavan especially or particularly exemplify this aspect of giving to the common people the transcendental literatures. All of the Goswamis of Vrindavan have left us with treasures of knowledge, treasure house of transcendental knowledge by writing so many books. And on a daily basis, they would also be holding discourses. They would have very often, like in the afternoon, they would go on for quite a few hours sometimes to discuss, because they were individually, as ordered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were requested to excavate, to take out from the Vedic literatures what is the essence, what is the most important in relation to bhakti or devotional service. So they were all doing some personal reading and research, and then they would share that, yeah. So there were 6 of them. That means there were 6 scholars, 6 people who were finding, and as one reads Vedic literatures, one also, Krishna helps one to realize, one gets different realizations. So in this way they would be very enthusiastically reading and sharing their thoughts and their ideas about devotional service. For the benefit of all in human society, they left behind them immense literatures of transcendental importance. Yes. Similarly, all the acharyas who voluntarily accepted the renouncer of life aimed at benefiting human society and not at living at a comfortable or irresponsible life at the cost of others. So this point is being stressed, how sadhus are meant, because often people have a negative opinion on sadhus. What do? They live at the expense of others, etc. So Prabhupada making the point here that sadhus have an important contribution to make to society, especially in the matter of writing transcendental literatures or giving guidance and advice. And Prabhupada continues here, however, those who cannot give any contribution should not go to the householders for food. For such mendicants, asking bread from the householder are an insult to the highest order. Shukadeva Goswami gave this warning especially for those mendicants who adopt this line of profession to solve their economic problems. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are individuals like that. Such mendicants are in abundance in the age of Kali. Yeah. When a man becomes a mendicant willfully or by circumstances, he must be of firm faith and conviction that the Supreme Lord is the maintainer of all living beings everywhere in the universe. Why then would he neglect the maintenance of a surrendered soul? Why would the Lord neglect the maintenance of a surrendered soul who is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord? A common master looks to the necessities of his servant, so how much more would the all-powerful, all-opulent Supreme Lord look after the necessities of life for a fully surrendered soul? The general rule is that a mendicant devotee will accept a simple, small loincloth without having or without asking anyone to give it in charity. Yeah. Actually, many years ago, this is an integral part of the Vedic culture. In Calcutta, when I was in Mayapur, sometimes we would go to Calcutta, and when I was staying in Calcutta also, and just like yesterday was Makar Sankranti. So on Makar Sankranti, it is very special festival all over India, and it is a day that Hindus, they will do something special. They will give some gift to some sadhu, or they will feed the cows, like that. So, and whenever we would go to Calcutta, if there was some kind of celebration, or very often, like in a family, they'll have some Shraddha program, or they'll have, they'll celebrate some event, they will call devotees, and they will have nice preparations. They will make a feast actually for the devotees, and after, naturally there will be some bhajans, kirtan, some pravachan, hearing from the Shastra, and then at the end of the program, the householders, the people inviting devotees, they have it all nicely prepared. They will have a dhoti, nicely folded and with a little bit of Lakshmi, and they will give to each and everyone. That's a nice practice, which because they are rendering a service actually to Vaishnavas. Yes, so Srila Prabhupada making the point here that the Lord is providing. The Lord is no poor man, and He's providing to everyone, so why He would not provide also to those who are mendicants? So the general rule, again, is that a mendicant devotee will accept a simple, small loincloth without asking anyone to give it in charity. He simply salvages it from the rejected torn cloth thrown in the street. When he is hungry, he may go to a magnanimous tree which drops fruits. And when he is thirsty, he may drink water from the flowing river. Of course, now we have polluted our river so much that it's not possible.
Both the thing is not there.
Yeah, also. Now people have a different mentality. If somebody has some nice mango tree or trees, you can't, you'll be accused. There's a sign there, no trespassing. You cannot enter. Things have changed. So a mendicant does not require to live in a comfortable house, but should find a cave in the hills and not be afraid of jungle animals, keeping faith in God, who lives in everyone's heart. This is the title of the chapter, The Lord in the Heart. The Lord may dictate to tigers and other jungle animals not to disturb His devotee. So one has to be a surrendered soul. Haridas Thakur, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, used to live in such a cave, and by chance a great venomous snake was a co-partner of the cave. Some admirer of Thakur Haridas, who had to visit the Thakur every day, feared the snake and suggested that the Thakur leave that place. Because his devotee, because his devotees were afraid of the snake and they were regularly visiting the cave, Thakur Haridas agreed to the proposal on their account. So Haridas Thakur was living in a cave with a snake, and everyone was kind of somewhat fearful because they would come to have darshan. So they suggested think better you should leave the cave. They were afraid. He was not afraid. So then he agreed. But as soon as this was settled, the snake actually crawled out of his hole in the cave and left the cave for good before everyone present. So the Lord is in the heart of everyone, including the snakes, all animals, and sarva sachaham riti sanivisto mata smitir jnanam apohanam cha. So he gives direction to all living entities. By the dictation of the Lord, who lived also within the heart of the snake gave preference to Haridas and decided to leave the place and not disturb him. So this is a tangible example of how the Lord gives protection to a bona fide devotee like Haridas Thakur. Yeah. According to the regulations of the Sanatana Dharma institution, one is trained from the beginning to depend fully on the protection of the Lord in all circumstances. The path of renunciation is recommended for acceptance by one who is fully accomplished and fully purified in his existence. This stage is described above in the Bhagavad Gita 16.5 as Daivi Sampat. Daivi Sampat. A human being is required to accumulate Daivi Sampat, or spiritual assets, not so much material assets. If material assets are there, they'll be utilized in Krishna service. Otherwise, the next alternative, Asuri Sampat. There is Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat, or material assets, will overcome him disproportionately, and thus one will be forced into the entanglement of different miseries of the material world. A sannyasi should always live alone, without company, and he must be fearless. He should never be afraid of living alone, although he is never alone. So Prabhupada was living alone actually in Vrindavan before going to America. And and he lived alone also when he went to America, or arrived in America. So, yeah, especially those in a renounced sort of life are developing this mood or mentality of being completely dependent on the Lord, and sometimes one needs to demonstrate or to practice in this way.
What is Asuri Sampat means?
Asuri Sampat means accumulating wealth, accumulating material things for one's benefit. The Daivi Sampat means not to be attached to any material things. What was discussed a few days ago also, minimizing our material necessities of life. Asuri Sampat is the mentality of the majority of people in modern day society, to earn more and more, isn't it? To accumulate unnecessarily, and to have so many things that we don't actually need. That is Asuri Sampat. Asuri Sampat. And just to finish the purport here, the Lord is residing in everyone's heart, and unless one is purified by the prescribed process, one will feel that he is alone. Yeah, if one is not purified in consciousness. But a man in the renounced order of life must be purified by the process Thus he will feel the presence of the Lord everywhere and will have nothing to fear, such as being without any company. Everyone can become a fearless and honest person if his very existence is purified by discharging the prescribed duty for each and every order of life. One can become fixed in one's prescribed duty by faithful oral reception of Vedic instructions and assimilation of the essence of Vedic knowledge by devotional service to the Lord. So the purport is ending with the recommendation, the two recommendations that we need to develop this quality of fearlessness, knowing that actually the Lord is factually within our heart, and therefore we are never alone. And the second instruction at the end of the purport here being given is that one of the foremost ways to develop this consciousness, to develop this understanding, is by giving oral reception, by hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita especially, on a regular basis. So in this way we are reminded and we can become more convinced and have a more clear understanding. Yeah. Any quick question?
The question is begging is meant for the sannyasis and brahmacharis, or the needy people also can beg for their need?
Or needy people?
Like poor people who doesn't have, who actually want something.
So the question is whether begging is only for brahmacharis and sannyasis, or is it also allowed for needy people? People who are needy can also we see many people who are in need, and that is normally that should not be there. If there were responsible leadership in society, then one would not need to beg, as we see today, because people don't have even the basics for living. That is there. Generally, this, as it has been explained here, begging is meant to engage people in performing some pious activity, to engage them in activities that will ultimately benefit them. So because we have in modern day society a very unusual condition where such qualified leadership is not there, therefore there are many people who are without their basic needs and necessities. So people are forced to beg very often. And they need to be assisted. Okay, we can close here for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Gaura Premanandi. whether there was sound